How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about the Steam Deck. In today's video, I've got 3 topics to cover. It's Black Friday week, so I went through Amazon and picked out some deals that I think are worth checking out. Second on the list, it looks like everyone's officially joining the handheld fun with Sony's new handheld, and I'll talk about what that might mean for the Steam Deck. And third, I'm going to tell you about this Humble bundle that I think is worth it. I don't know how to set up the affiliate thing for Humble, so this is just a PSA. This video is sponsored by Factor. I love when Factor sponsors my channels because their food is genuinely awesome and it takes the stress out of meal planning, which sets you up for success. You can skip the grocery stores, the prep work, the cooking fatigue, all of it. Instead, you can get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals sent right to your door. And they have 35 meals to choose from per week. Those include keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and more. I gotta be real with you guys, it's way too easy to fall into the takeout trap when I'm stuck down here in the editing hole, and Factor is great because you can get a great meal heated up in 2 minutes in the microwave, and it's not only quicker, it's cheaper. And they're flexible. They have plans that include 4 to 18 meals per week. You can reschedule or change your delivery time whenever you want, and you can even pause your membership if you're not feeling it one week. The coolest thing is it cuts out the cleanup and prep time entirely. You just pop the little tray in the microwave for 2 minutes and then you're ready to eat. When you're ready to try Factor, click the link in the description to get 50% off your first box and free shipping, and 20% off your next month's order with code DECK50. Once again, huge shout out to Factor for sponsoring this video. All right, let's jump into these Black Friday deals because there's a lot of stuff to sift through, so I just picked out the best stuff. Starting out with JSOCs, look, I'm just gonna say it, the Steam Deck dock that's official is kind of a failure. Like, it's cool, I like it, I think it justifies its cost by including a second charger, and I like that it has the Steam Deck logo on it, but it just never works right. Like, a firmware update will break it. To even install the firmware upgrades, you have to unplug everything. It's just like a nightmare to actually use, so I am admitting defeat and going back to JSOCs. Thankfully, their 6-in-1 dock is on sale for $30, which is a pretty good price. That's about as low as I've ever seen it. I use a JSOCs dock all the time for my Steam Deck, and I have that one with the LED lights that they ended up not releasing. My wife uses it for Cricket, and it's still holding up just fine. So as far as JSOCs quality goes, I have no issues with it because it's made out of metal, and I've never really had any compatibility issues with these. So for $30, I think is definitely worth grabbing one of these. Speaking of JSOCs, I have tried every different screen protector out there for the Steam Deck, and I love their tempered glass protector. It comes in a 2-pack, so if you screw one up or you use one for a while and it gets a little dirty, grimy, or scratched, you could just keep this other one in a desk drawer or something and have it ready to go. It's on sale for $8 for a 2-pack, and the coolest thing about it is that it comes with a little plastic frame that you can put on the outside of your Steam Deck screen and then drop the actual screen protector on. I'm actually like a pro. That's like my hidden talent, is putting on screen protectors. I'm really good at it, but I'm not as good as this little frame that comes along with it. So it's an $8 investment to protect your Steam Deck screen. If you're someone who sells your electronics when you upgrade, like you're still rocking an LCD and you want to keep it in new condition, I just can't recommend grabbing a screen protector enough, especially a glass one. If you're someone who wants to add a little bit of visual flair to the back of your Steam Deck through back plates, they're selling their translucent ones for $20. They have every atomic color from when I was a kid, and the Game Boy Color and N64 kept coming out with all these cool translucent colors. I used to have the purple one on my Steam Deck LCD, and then I eventually got the full case replacement, which I thought was pretty cool. But if you're looking for a very easy modification to do, like it takes around 5 or 10 minutes, these are great, and they actually fit really good. Like, the seal is excellent on these back plates from JSOCs. I'm not sure if they're the ones that include that metal heatsink on the back to kind of fix the fan issue, but they're still good enough. I used one for a long time and I had 0 issues, so $20, good deal. As far as SSD goes, the 2230 size ones have come down a lot in price. The best deal I could find for a 2TB version of the drive is from Crucial. The one in my Steam Deck is still the 2TB Microsoft Surface one I bought a long time ago for $270. Getting this 2TB one from Crucial for $139, that's an incredible deal. I wish they were that cheap when I bought it, because spending that much money back when the Steam Deck came out, it really hurt. I wasn't making any money on this channel and I was dropping almost $300, which is like halfway to the cost of the Steam Deck, or even more. There are better deals out there on 1TB drives, like they go as low as $60 or $70, but like, you know, you could do that and then get a 1TB micro SD card, or you could get a 2TB drive and a 1TB micro SD card, and you'll theoretically never run out of space on your Steam Deck. So I would pay a little bit more upfront to get the 2TB, especially while it's on sale for Black Friday. Speaking of micro SD cards, I've got 2 deals for you. Both of them are $88. $88. So one of them is a SanDisk Ultra micro SD card. So it's like the silver one. Its speeds are good enough for the Steam Deck, and it's 1.5 terabytes, which is a lot of storage. Again, the speeds are good enough, but they're not incredible. So if you have a lot of big games like Diablo 4, for example, you'll want to keep those on your Steam Deck's internal SSD, because if you have them installed to a micro SD card, especially one with a little bit slower speed like this, patching the games can take up to like 30 or 40 minutes. And I left my Steam Deck patching Diablo 4 under my bed with the charger plugged in the other night, and it stayed on all night. It didn't do the screen off thing because of how long it took to patch the game. So if you do pick up this 1.5 terabyte one, definitely keep it in mind that the speeds are slower than some of the faster ones out there. But also for $88, you can lose out on 500 megabytes of storage and get the SanDisk Extreme version of the micro SD card, which is again 1 terabyte. And that's the one that I have in my Steam Deck. And while it's still a little bit slow patching bigger games, for smaller indie stuff like Conscript, Super Woden GP2, I'm playing Zero Sievert, all of those live on my micro SD card. They work just fine, even with the cloud saves and the shader cache and everything like that. And if you're someone who emulates a lot of stuff with EmuDeck, you want a big micro SD card to store all your games on and all of your saves and everything like that. So they're both $88. I don't really think it matters all that much which one you choose. I've tried them all and I really can't notice a difference. Like, they're all mediocre in terms of like speed compared to the SSD itself. So yeah, if you are going to go with the 1 terabyte micro SD card and SSD combo versus just a 2 terabyte SSD, just keep in mind you're going to have to be kind of like vigilant and make sure that you keep your bigger games that take a long time to patch or get a lot of patches on the SSD and keep the smaller stuff on your micro SD card. It's not that big of a deal. I just think it's worth pointing out for anyone who's getting a brand new Steam Deck this Christmas. And finally, I wanted to highlight the Anker power bank I used. The title is way too long. I got it for like $100 back when the Steam Deck came out. Then my wife left it on a plane and someone stole it. So I bought it again for around the same price. And that was a year or so ago. It's holding up just fine. I use it for my MacBook. I use it for my Steam Deck. I use it for my ROG Ally. Hell, I even charge my iPad and my DualSense Edge with it, and it's still charging them just fine. You can get like 2 to 2.5 full charges out of this thing, which makes it great for traveling. It's on sale for $55 right now. And I think overall battery banks are a little overpriced for what they do, but $55, I mean, that's less than a full price game that'll get you a lot more battery life on the go, even with the improved battery life within the Steam Deck itself. Now, at the time this video is going live, the Steam Autumn Sale hasn't started, so later in the week I'll have another video where I go over some of the best Steam Deck game deals. But as far as the Steam Deck hardware goes, that's the best stuff I could find personally. And if you're someone who's buying a Steam Deck for someone in your family for Christmas or something like that, everything I mentioned in this list is something that is borderline necessary for the Steam Deck. You're gonna want a dock, you're gonna want a battery bank, you're gonna want a bigger SSD, and you're gonna, at the very least, want a bigger micro SD card. So if you know of someone in your life who's getting a Steam Deck around Black Friday or getting one for Christmas and you want to get an add-on or an accessory for it, that's exactly what I would get. I mean, any of those things would be great, except maybe the backplate, because that doesn't really have much of a function outside of making the Steam Deck look like a little bit personalized and a little bit cool. But yeah, the two biggest recommendations, SSD or micro SD card. Those are going to give them the best longevity with their brand new awesome handheld gaming PC. But that brings us to the second news story about today's video, which is a little bit of a troubling future I can foresee with this new development around Sony making a brand new handheld. Now, this has been rumored for a long time that Sony is working on a successor to the PlayStation Portal and the PSP that will natively play PS5 games. Obviously, that's a long way down the pike because, you know, you need to get a chip that can run PS5 games in a handheld chassis, and those just don't exist right now. If they did, we'd be having the Steam Deck 2 conversation that everyone hates having. But as Valve has said multiple times, they want to make sure before they release a successor to the Steam Deck that they can get a generational leap in performance, but also retain the current battery life. So if Sony wants to run actual PS5 games on their handheld, they're going to have to wait for that exact same generational leap as well to stay in a similar price range as the Steam Deck. But something that kind of worries me about them going into the future of making their own handhelds again is compatibility with Steam. We know they're all in on releasing their games on Steam, but I will say they've done a pretty good job compared to companies like Microsoft or other big publishers with making sure that at the very least they get the kind of fake verification status for their Steam Deck games. I mean, even The Last of Us Part 1, in the totally broken state it launched in, was able to get that verification status. They also do a good job of marketing that fact. Like in a lot of the trailers and a lot of the marketing they put out for their PC ports, they put the Steam Deck first and foremost in terms of making it sell better on Steam, which is great because it shows that in the development side, the companies like Nix's and everyone else porting these PlayStation games at least have a little bit of incentive and forethought to actually make sure these games are somewhat optimized to run well on a handheld platform like the Steam Deck. But if they're making their own handheld, the real big reason to do something like that is to farm engagement. You know, that's the big metric that every game company is going for now. They don't just want you playing games. They want you playing games on their platform. So in Sony's eyes, if they can sell you a game for $70 on the PlayStation 5 and it'll work well on the handheld, that's what's going to get all the focus from them. They're probably going to take all of those resources that they currently dedicate to making sure the games are at least somewhat optimized for the Steam Deck and port them over to be working on whatever this PlayStation handheld is. And that's kind of a bummer. I mean, it's really a problem that's going to present itself anyway, because as Sony moves on from the PS4 and continuing to support that, games are just going to be harder and harder to run on the Steam Deck, especially if every company, including Sony, is going to transition to using Unreal 5. That engine seems to be the biggest Achilles heel for any PC, not just the Steam Deck. But when it comes specifically to the Steam Deck, it has a lot of problems with Unreal Engine 5 games because everything does. I mean, even when you play Stalker 2 on the Xbox Series X, if you're in performance mode, it's upscaling that stuff from less than 720p all the way up to like 1080p or 1440p, and it just doesn't look very good, and it doesn't run well either. So expecting it to run well at all on a handheld that's using old hardware, like, it's just unrealistic. So as companies continue to use Unreal Engine 5 or develop their own engines that are somewhat equivalent, the Steam Deck is going to start to fall behind. And that's really when we can start having the Steam Deck 2 conversation. But in the meantime, while they're all working on getting their own handhelds together, I'd like to see the support for the Steam Deck continue because I want that brand specifically to grow. It will be nice having a PlayStation Portable where all my saves and trophies transfer and everything like that, but I think by far my biggest library of games is probably on Steam, and I just love the Steam Deck platform when it comes to handhelds. A lot of people were kind of shocked on PS Ready, my other channel, when I didn't get the PlayStation Portal, but for me, someone who does all of my handheld gaming on the Steam Deck, there's really no reason to get the PlayStation Portal because the Steam Deck, you can just install Chiaki, get the exact same, if not better performance out of the game streaming from your PS5, but then it looks better, it's crunched down on an 800p screen with OLED technology built into the screen as well. Again, there's no reason, even if it is just a couple $100 for me to make that purchase, and I don't see that changing even with this eventual Sony handheld. Like, I'll probably buy one just because I want the ability to take my first party PlayStation games on the go because they're going to come out on PlayStation first and foremost, but you know, Steam Deck is always going to be my favorite handheld, at least for the foreseeable future. I mean, who am I kidding? The Steam Deck's my favorite handheld ever, really. I mean, if like the PS5 Portable came out and it could run quality mode games at 30 FPS on the go, I'd still probably find a way to justify using the Steam Deck over it, you know? But yeah, a lot of people kind of compare the Steam Deck to this eventual Sony handheld, to the eventual Nintendo Switch 2, and they're just playing in completely different markets. Like the Steam Deck, as well as it's done, it's sold like maybe 3 million units since it came out, but that doesn't matter. It's not really a device that needs to be as successful as something like the Nintendo Switch, where Nintendo banks their entire company's performance on it, or as successful as this PlayStation handheld, where even if it does as good as it possibly can, it's never going to be a standalone platform. The Steam Deck is its own platform, and the whole goal of the Steam Deck at the end of the day is to keep people buying and playing games on Steam, and they've done an incredible job making sure it's an excellent experience from top to bottom. Like, they have a fully digital platform that allows you to take these games offline without license checks for like the vast majority of them, and as far as I'm concerned, it works as good as it possibly can. So you're going to see a lot of articles coming out being like, is the Steam Deck going to be able to compete with this PlayStation handheld? And all you have to do is is sit there and think this doesn't matter. Anyway, that brings us to the third news story here, which is a Humble Bundle that I genuinely think is worth checking out. And again, I don't even know how to set up the affiliate link, so you know this one's actually good because I'm just recommending it. So the $10 tier, you could just get away with that because it includes Crysis Remastered, Doom 2016, and the Prey Mooncrash DLC with a 60% off coupon, so you have to buy it separately, but you get the coupon, which is pretty cool. All three of those games are excellent. Like Doom 2016 runs at a flawless 60 on the Steam Deck. It's awesome. Prey runs extremely well too. And Crysis Remastered, you know, you got to bump it down to 30 FPS, but we're in a future where you can take Crysis in its remastered form to go on the Steam Deck and it runs really well. So for $10, you get all three of those games. That is so worth it on its own. But if you pay $14, you not only get Prey, the standalone game, which I highly recommend playing. I bought it when it came out and I loved it. That IGN review was crazy, but you also get Crysis 2 Remastered, and I'm pretty sure that runs decently as well on the Steam Deck. And then if you pay $19, you get everything I just mentioned, plus the System Shock remake. You also get Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered and Crysis 3 Remastered. All those games are at least playable on the Steam Deck, or, you know, they run excellently. For $19, I'm sure there's going to be some great Black Friday deals, but man, that is a hard deal to beat for some of the best first-person sci-fi shooters on the Steam Deck, bar none. It's kind of useless to me because I have an addiction to buying games, even if I'm not willing to play them when they come out, so I actually own literally every game on this list. But man, if you're someone who has been playing on the Nintendo Switch or you've been playing on PlayStation and you just got a Steam Deck, you could build out a sick library that'll carry you well into next year just by paying $19 for all these games. So you just search Humble Bundle. I think it's called like the Sci-Fi Shooter Bundle. Just Google that and it'll come up. I was going to say I'll put the link in the description, but I always forget. So I'm just telling you how to do it yourself. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.